Warren Hayes Show on the SLATE, which is what we do on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays. We preview the night to come as far as wrestling goes, and this is where we are tonight. Monday Night Raw is the tradition that has been ongoing for decades at this point. We're getting almost. Are we in? We're inching on to 3 decades of Raw, folks. When you think about it, hang on a second. Like when it started, 1993. Isn't that wild? Like next year, 30 years of Raw on Monday nights. Doesn't make me feel any younger, I'll tell you guys and gals that much. Holy shit. 2023, yeah. I'm already skipping 2022. Hello. I'm Warren Hayes, and math confuses and bewilders me. But it is good to see you joining me here live on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes for what we usually do on Mondays. Like I said, we get the slate and we try. I mean, I'd love to give Monday Night Raw a proper preview. I always do. Same thing with SmackDown, and sometimes they're able to muster up some stuff and I'm like, oh, cool. But holy smokes. Sometimes it just ain't easy. It ain't easy. Kind of like tonight, but we'll get to that in a second. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone who's here live, including, but not exclusively, Flowman, good to see you. Alonzo Smith, good to see you. 5th generation Carney Joseph with it, good to see you as well. And yes, long live the new WWE champion, Robert Lashley, as Alonzo was saying. How could you not? It's been a week already. It's been a week since Bobby Lashley won, and I talked about it a little bit on Thursday, but I think it bears speaking on a little bit before we actually get into the nitty gritty of Raw tonight. Lashley has been built very, very, very slowly, and I'd say even discreetly since the fall. You might even make an argument before that, but it really dawned on me during the fall that he's being protected. He's not taking any pinfalls. He's not submitting. They're building him as a beast, and they're moving him all the way up. And viewers, listeners of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show proper will know. This is something I mentioned multiple times. They're building him for Drew, and that's exactly where we're at. So when I talk about wins and losses not mattering, right, in the minds of WWE, and where I think the complete opposite, I think wins and losses do matter. I think wins and losses super matter to wrestling fans, and sometimes they just might not realize it. Look at the reaction The Miz got when he won the title versus when Bobby Lashley won the title. I scoured the timeline, and I even asked people for their opinion. No one came out to outright reject Bobby Lashley as WWE champion. Why? For a bunch of reasons, but a winning record is definitely up there. Definitely up there. On the flip side, when The Miz won, why did everyone go, Miz won 3 matches, like in 2020. So what is he doing? And it may not be a conscious thing. It might not be something that, like some of us do, where we really keep score we're watching, we're watching progress. We check Cage Match to look at match statistics and how things are going. It might not be really conscious, but ultimately you're like, Miz is not I don't like Miz as a champion because he's a loser. Because he was booked as a loser. Because he's acting like a loser. He's not acting like a champion. No one bitches about Bobby Lashley. No one bitches about Bobby Lashley. And that's when you know you have done your job properly. Wins and losses matter. Win and loss records matter. I'm telling you guys. Daniel Hayes. Nice last name, Daniel. What a good good, hearty, trustworthy last name you've got there, Daniel. I appreciate it. It gives me a sense of warmth on the inside. Welcome to the chat. And Jason PS3, hello. Jason PS3 even left us a super chat. Thank you very much. Unrelated to Raw, but hey, we can talk about this for a second. Jason PS3 said Cody should have given Kenny his pyro for the finishing climax last night. Oh, I'm still so torn. The thing, yeah, I think we discussed this because you were in the Discord. I don't remember where we talked about it, but I was like, yeah, I mean, ultimately, Cody's entrance has more concussive impact than whatever they did last night. It was sad, and of course, I'm going to talk about. I mean, this is, of course, a talking point on the MrWarrenHayes show this Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Make a note of it. Of course, it's going to be a talking point there, but, as much as the memes were funny and everyone was losing it, and I myself was having a good time, like, just picking fun at the situation, it didn't make me angry. It didn't piss me off. And I'm like, oh, God damn you, AW. It's nothing like that. It's absolutely nothing like that. But, I do get, I cannot but not be bummed because I was excited for this match. I was, exploding barbed wire death match. I'm like, and they had poor Bryce Remsburg in a hazmat suit, and they had the sirens. They had the 10-minute warning, where they had that drone. They were boom, 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 boom. Like, oh, you kidding me? And then they had the air raid siren and the countdown. Like I said, I'll have more thoughts on the whole match, but I was waiting. It just broke my heart, man. It broke my heart, and I feel bad. I feel bad for AEW, just like I would have felt bad for WWE if they had done this. Like, I love pro wrestling, and I want entertaining shows. I don't take pleasure in failure. I don't want wrestling companies to fail. I want them to succeed, and I want them to be good at what they do. I don't want them to peter out. So when that kind of stuff happens, I'm like, oh man, that sucks. As a wrestling fan, I think it stinks. I think it's a shame. And I think if you deride if you deride pleasure, in AEW, if you jumped on Twitter and said, AEW sucks, fuck you, AEW. I'm like, man, this is not time for a victory lap. Because this really disappointed a bunch of your fellow wrestling fans, and it stunk, and then I think back at the what did they call it? What did WWE do when the Fiend was set on fire? It wasn't an Inferno match. It was a 8th Circle of Hell match. It was a Mama the House is on Fire match. I don't remember what it was called. But when the Fiend was set on fire and burned, well, I mean, that was well executed. And if WWE had fucked it up there, I mean, outside of the finish where you're like, what did I just watch? But, if they had failed on that, I would have felt bad. I wouldn't have been like, well, WWE, it's been, I don't know. Firefly Inferno match. Thank you, Injection 2K. Welcome to the chat, by the way. And look who's here. Kristen Ashley, the first lady of the MrWarrenHayes show. Hello, darling. Welcome to the chat. And Justin Firestein is here as well. Good to see everyone. Anyway, we're talking about WWE Raw tonight. Thank you again, Jason PS3, for the super chat. But I've got more thoughts on all of this, especially with the angle. We'll save it for Thursday, not just yet. But hey, let's get into tonight's Raw. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we got on the plate tonight. 3 things have been announced. Okay, without going, let's play a game. Without going to WWE.com, folks. Okay? 3 things have been announced tonight. 3 events have been announced tonight for WWE. I want you to type in the chat, how many of those 3 events are a match? I want you guys to give me your best guess. How many of the 3 things that WWE announced tonight are a match out of the 3? You got Injection 2K says 1. Nikki, how you doing? Welcome to Jonathan Reyes. Good to see you. We've got 1, multiple ones. We even have zeros, which is a fair guess. Sean Taggart, good to see you as well. It is just, we only have 1 match scheduled tonight. And it is a rematch for the WWE Championship. Let's read the copy before we do anything else, okay? Our friend Michael Burdick. Is Evan here? Michael Burdick is supplying the copy for tonight. We salute ye. Bobby Lashley to battle The Miz in a WWE Championship rematch. Last week on Raw, Bobby Lashley conquered The Miz in dominant fashion to become the new WWE Champion in a lumberjack match. Well, among other attempts in the evening, but I digress. Tonight, the almighty title holder will kick off his reign in a rematch against the A-lister. Can Miz find a way to overcome the intense force nature? Will see blah, 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 blah. So, I want you guys to take a second here, and I want you to think back to last week. Let's remember the events that occurred on Monday Night Raw a week ago, exactly to the day a week ago. The Miz was terrified of Bobby Lashley, did not want to fight him, was trying to escape through every means, way and conceivable way possible. He just wanted to hit the bricks and get the hell out of there. Now, my question to you is, why the hell does the Miz want a rematch tonight? And I'm being serious. How does this make sense in regards to everything that happened last week, where the Miz was dodging Bobby Lashley last week? Why would it be this week and he's like, hey, I'm going to fight. Let me try and fight Bobby Lashley. And let's push this just a wee bit forward, okay? Just a tiny little bit forward, all right? This match has to last at the most 5 minutes, right? At the most. Because Lashley completely destroyed Miz last week. So it's inevitably another squash. right? So let's push this a little further again. Why are we doing this match again? Because on one hand, it doesn't make sense in the story. It doesn't make sense at all if you consider what happened last week. And even if you want to conjure up something where it's like, oh, the Miz probably has a plan tonight. You know, he has something up his sleeve. Even then, it's a 5-minute match that we're going to get. What? Why are you advertising this? It is of zero interest. Bobby Lashley murdered the man on television last week. Why would we be like, yeah, let's do this again? How is this compelling as a pro wrestling aficionado? Not an amateur. As a fan of professional wrestling, why would you be like, this is the marquee match that they are advertising for tonight? I completely expect to get another kind of match. Something I'm fully even expecting Bobby Lashley versus Sheamus. That's how much I'm convinced that this is not going to happen. I'm just like, what? How can this be compelling to anyone who was watching last week? If anything, Bobby Lashley tonight should have the fucking week off and be a champion and not wrestle on free TV. That's how I would be booking Bobby Lashley right now. I would be giving him the Brock booking. He shows up, he lets the other guy do the talking, and he doesn't wrestle on fucking television. He wrestles on pay-per-view. Have him wrestle at Fastlane, have him wrestle at WrestleMania. In the meantime, he lets the jabrones do the work for him because he's the champ. And it would just be so different than Drew. Because Drew's a babyface, and I can get behind a babyface champion wanting to be like, well, I'm taking on all challengers, and I'm a fighting champion week after week, so on and so forth. I can get behind that. It's fine. But he's not Drew, and he's supposed to be a heel. So let him heel it up. Let him be, and he's got to be different than Drew. He can't be a guy where he's like, oh, I'm going to fight every week too. Otherwise, Jesus Christ, all our champions are the same. All our champions, there's Roman on SmackDown who's like, nah, I'll wrestle when I feel like it. And I'm perfect. It doesn't have to be the same attitude with Lashley. It's not like, maybe it's not like I'll wrestle when I feel like it. More like, I'm the champion. I wrestle only money matches. And honestly, I'd pop. I'd pop hard. You have Bobby Lashley or at least MVP saying, it's like, nah, he only wrestles for the big money matches. You're not a big money match, Miz. What the fuck is wrong with you? Sometimes it ain't that hard to come up with something really, really compelling. Anyway, the only thing that I'm afraid of is that they're going to start tweening Bobby Lashley a little bit, because I don't think they want to make him a full-on babyface, because you don't want a babyface versus babyface. Not these two anyway. I think a strong heel for Drew is what's best. I really do. And like Alonzo said, Alonzo brings up a good point in the chat. And I'm going to underscore this because I don't think I've underscored it well enough. The Hurt Business has all the major gold in the company, right? Bobby Lashley was U.S. champion. He dropped that like an old habit, and then he's got himself the world championship. Shelton and Cedric are tag team champions. That's a faction. That's a faction where you're like, look at these guys. They look strong. I love it. And it's deserved. The Hurt Business is one of the more entertaining acts that we've had on Raw. If it wasn't for that period last year where they were always fighting Ricochet and Apollo Crews and always in that cycle, if it wasn't for that really weird instance, I would have put them right up there with the women in having carried 2020 for WWE. But once they broke out of that cycle towards the end of the year, it's all been fantastic. And how MVP in the year of our Lord 2020, 2021, did anyone on God's green flat earth believe that we would be at a point where MVP would be one of the reasons that this stable would be so successful? One of the reasons that helped elevate Bobby Lashley on top of that. And I want to make this clear again, because I've had people say, well, Bobby Lashley can't work the mic without MVP because MVP can talk and Bobby Lashley can't talk. And that's the point. That's the point of a manager. That's why you have a manager. That's why managers existed. It was if they got these really charismatic, like these huge dudes, whatever, back in the day, but who couldn't work the mic, you put them with a manager who could get all the heat for him just by talk. That's the point. Bobby Lashley doesn't have to talk because he has MVP doing the talking for him, and MVP is fantastic at it. He's a great promo. I mean, it's not a weakness. It's au contraire. How many times have I said WWE needs to has to work with the strengths of their talents as opposed to trying to shoehorn them into things that they're not comfortable with, like giving poor Ricochet some god-awful lines to do promo work on when he's already not that great a promo. So instead of trying to force Bobby Lashley to become the next, I don't know, Cody Rhodes or John Moxley or Chris Jericho, whatever your pick your top promo poison, saddle him with MVP, and MVP will do the talking for him, and I'm okay with that because that's what managers are for. The second segment that we're getting tonight, so that was the only match. The second one is sort of connected. Bobby Lashley set to celebrate his historic WCW Championship victory. Thank you, Michael Burdick, coming off his monumental victory over The Miz last week, the champion. And then what will the CEO of the Hurt Business, MVP, and Raw Tag Team Champion Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander have in store? This should not even be announced. This is something that we expect. This is lazy WWE Creative 101. Every time there is a victory, the following night or the following show, there is a celebration. It just goes hand in hand. You don't have to announce it. We know it's going to happen because you guys are out of ideas. You're out of ideas. And the celebration's going to get interrupted and stuff is going to happen. It's just lazy. And who looks at this and goes, yeah, we're getting ourselves a celebration. Whoop-a-da-doo! No one. Well, I'm sorry. I shouldn't do sweeping statements like that. Probably not many people. Probably not many people get excited at the idea of Bobby Lashley celebrating the WWE Championship victory. I mean, no one goes, yes, this is going to be great. No. Again, I said no one. I apologize. And then the other segment that we're getting, are you ready for this? Braun Strowman is going to ask Shane McMahon for an apology. Mark my fucking words. We are getting Braun and Shane at WrestleMania. I've said this 2 weeks ago, and I God damn it. Here we go. Braun Strowman is one angry monster, so tells us Michael Burdick. Where the hell is Evan? I need someone to laugh along. Braun Strowman is one angry monster and he wants answers. Michael Burdick tells us. The monster among men feels like Shane McMahon has been out to get him in recent weeks. From excluding him from the Elimination Chamber to not automatically giving him a WWE Championship opportunity, Strowman has some gripes. Matters were made worse last week when Shane may have inadvertently cost Strowman and Adam Pearce the Raw Tag Team titles, whatever the fuck that segment was, in their match against the Hurt Business. So now an apology just may be in order. Will Shane grant Braun's wish and apologize? No, of course not. You know why? Because we're building to a WrestleMania match. Maybe something at Fastlane. Maybe, because it's about time they start booking something for Fastlane, right? Here, give me a quick second. Let's go check it out right here live. Fastlane, what have we got so far? We don't have much. We have Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan, and we have the Women's Tag Team Championship match. That's all we have. So they kind of have to start building Fastlane. So maybe my prediction for a WrestleMania match may be a little off the wall. But then again, why not have the Fastlane match and then have like a match with a stipulation, like a last man standing match, or something that that will allow Shane to fly off of something, because of course we're going to get a Shane match at WrestleMania. This is where we're heading. This is what we're doing right here. My God, man. And chat, I'm an open guy. I have an open mind. Argue. Tell me, are you guys excited for Shane versus Braun? Is this something that titillates you, that you're like, ooh? And I mean, outside of, well, Shane is probably going to do some crazy shit. Shane is going to do crazy shit. He's going to launch himself off of something. We know that. But like the prospect of a feud between Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon leading into WrestleMania, is it me? Is it just me? And it could be that it's just me, right? So I mean, I'm ready for some criticisms. I'm ready for a counter argument. I'm open to being like, well, Warren, you've forgotten about this important. And maybe, like, what bothers me is like they don't even reference Raw Underground, right? Like they don't even go there, or at least Michael Burdick doesn't. Michael Burdick, where the hell is Evan? JL, thank you very much. Welcome to the chat. And Chris Greenlee, J, good to see you as well. DGMC, hello. JL says, Raw tailgating at the Warren Hayes channel. That's how I should have called the show. That's what I should call the stream. I should have called it the tailgate. We're tailgating. Oh, you want to be on my creative team, JL? My creative team of 0 people right now. Let's see here. Shane McMahon WrestleMania matches will be the norm for the next 15 years. Yeah, it feels like they've been the norm for the past 15 years too. Justin Feinstein says Shane says that ship, and thought Shane points he sees the WrestleMania ship and he says, I can jump off of that. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Alonzo Smith says Shane must want to die at 51 years old. I mean, look, the guy survived a helicopter crash. I think he's invincible. I think he's, have you guys watched The Boys? Like, I think he's a superhero that was made in a lab. I think that's, I think he's one of those. Like Highlander, or not Highlander, Homelander, or The Deep, but not as much of an asshole as Homelander, Shane is going to want, Jonathan Reyes says Shane is going to want a barbed wire death match versus Braun. Could you imagine if WWE came out tonight and was like, hey, let's do an exploding barbed wire match, I'd be like, fantastic. I am here for that kind of petty shit. I love it. I absolutely. These two companies going at each other and being super petty. I would love it. They probably won't, WWE, but Alonzo Smith also adds that Shane is getting too old to be wrestling and taking bumps at this point. Injection 2K says, I don't mind it. It's WrestleMania and it's something for Strowman to do. Put it on the first night and let it go 5-10, bing, bang, boom. Match is done. Everyone goes on about their day. You're not entirely wrong. I'm sort of excited for Braun to have something with some real meat on his bones. DGMC says, not enough ripping up scripts. Warren got to fix that, dog. That's for sure. Oh, boy. Well, hey, listen. It's almost time for Raw. I didn't know how I managed to do 30 minutes just talking about 3 things, but that is the magic of Mr. Warren Hayes right here. Folks, I want to thank you all for joining me tonight. Remember to come back on Wednesday for the Wednesday Night Wars edition of the Slate, or might be renamed to the Tailgate. You never know. In the meantime, enjoy Raw tonight. Thank you for coming out. Join the Mr. Warren Hayes Discord. Link is in the description.